All right, I know who you are, but who are you?
Tony Kivell.
And can we ask how old you are, Tony?
65.
65, just a young fella really.
Yeah.
First surfboard?
Homemade out of some refrigeration foam with the wrong sort of fiberglass. I think it snapped third or fourth time out.
So you made it?
Yeah, you made it. Yeah.
So would you just look at someone's board and decide that's how it makes shape? Yeah.
Couldn't have looked at the price of new ones and couldn't afford it, so I thought I'll make our own, have a go.
Roughly how long would it be?
It was probably just under 9 feet, I think.
9 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Board. When did you start surfing? Roughly around?
Oh, 62 possibly?
Yeah.
60.
Yeah.
Out then.
Yeah. And whereabouts?
A lot of time at Ocean Beach, Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
We had a batch at Tarakura, so we'd often go and use it as a base and then go over to Ocean Beach.
And there was a few guys surfing in those days?
Yeah, there was a few guys around, yeah.
Were you a member of the Tatahi Club straight away?
I didn't go to the very first meeting, but I joined I think after the next meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you on the committee or anything there, or Shazarelli, or just a member?
Just a member, and then I came back and was secretary for a little while.
You were secretary?
As it was, for a very short time.
No, you were brave being a secretary for that. Everyone was.
Yeah, I remember we got a phone call one Sunday morning after a Saturday night Tatahi social from an irate member of the public complaining about damage done outside his property in near vicinity to our social.
Oh, it wouldn't have been any of the surfing guys? No. When you first started surfing, would you have a wetsuit, or what did you wear in winter?
Football jersey.
Football jersey,
yeah. Pair of shorts and a football jersey.
And you surfed right through winter?
Right through, yeah.
Will it be tougher then, or what, or stupider?
More stupid, I think.
There's some cold days, but you seem to survive, Best surfboard?
Best surfboard was probably a weird conception called an offset pod. It was shaped by Rick Nielsen. It was about 6'4", and one rail came straight towards the back as it was a pintail. The other rail curved right across to join it off centre. The theory being that it was shaped to sit with you, a goofy footer or a natural footer. You'd make it riding on your forehand easier and better for cutting back on your backhand. Probably didn't work from an actual nautical point of view, but it was just a great board. It's so easy to throw around and really enjoyable.
I've seen Roger Hall make some boards years ago, a bit like that. On guys that were right-handed, they'd have the other side cut back. I don't know if it worked or not. Have you ever, when you've been surfing, had one of those days when the surf's been fantastic? Where was that, and roughly when? When you go out and it's just the swells come out of nowhere and it's fantastic. Does anything stand out to you?
Lang's Beach, strangely enough. I think Waipu Cove was too big, and we went round to Lang's Beach, and it was a great day, brilliant day. Best wave, there's nothing that comes near it, and I'll admit I was just lucky. It was a beach break on quite a big swell at Miami on the Gold Coast, and Laurie and I paddled out, and this swell came through, and it was fairly big. Took off, and it must have hit a bank that the other waves weren't getting to because it was just that much bigger wave. And the thing just doubled up and threw out, and Laurie was down there looking straight in as I got just standing straight, totally covered up. Only time it ever happened.
A huge barrel.
Big barrel right into there.
And you make it out of it, right? Don't you wish you had the movie camera on that? That's one or two when it's like that. When you were growing up, what sort of were your surf heroes? Did you hear anyone that you thought, man, that's good, I'd like to surf like that guy?
Donald Japatakan Yama, whatever his name is.
Oh, the wine?
Brilliant nose rider. I admire his skills.
What do you think made you, why did you start surfing? Because I know, I don't know really why, but there was about my age, a whole group of us just I don't know if we're all sort of water guys, I suppose, but we all just started surfing, but I don't really know why. Maybe surfing, you could buy surfboards a little bit
Yep.
in Whangarei, but it's a hard one to pin down, eh?
Yeah.
But
I guess it was a gathering point for the guys that weren't into bikes or into cars or whatever what the rest of the population was doing. And as you say, I think like there are water people, I think, and we collectively became a group of water people.
Yeah. Now, first car, I think I've seen a photo of that, but what was it? Was it that a Vauxhall or?
I had one before the Vauxhall.
Yeah.
I had a 34 Austin, but it was that
A little wee
square thing.
Yep.
And then
1934.
I think it was a 34.
Yeah.
And then I had the Vauxhall after that, and that was I had that for years. It was my main car for a long time.
So was that a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder Vauxhall?
4.
4-cylinder. Yeah.
Had a lot of column change.
Yeah.
A lot of power.
Yeah.
And they were almost too light.
And you went everywhere in that.
Yeah, we did. It was.
I was a bit jealous because your car could really kick my Morris Minor's butt. I don't think I could beat anyone.
Yeah.
Surf accidents. Had any bad accidents? Or?
Yeah, I did. I got hit in the thigh at Ocean Beach, and the main blood vessel down in the thigh was ruptured, and it just bled over the next night in 24 hours. It bled inside the leg.
Oh, internal bleeding?
And until I was actually, the measurement around my waist was equivalent to that around the thigh. And the next second day after it hadn't stopped bleeding, they put me in an ambulance and took me up to the hospital. And I was on crutches for a long time because all the blood that was in the leg didn't disseminate and didn't get absorbed. So they broke it up with ultrasound and had exercises and physio. And it turned out to be actually out of the surf for quite a long time.
Yeah. Sounds horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't very pleasant.
Favourite New Zealand surf trip? I know you've been in Aussie, you live in Aussie now, and I know you've travelled in Aussie, but you ever go on one of those surf trips with the boys around New Zealand?
Not so much around New Zealand.
Yeah.
Went to Gisborne for the champs one year.
Yeah.
That was fun. Trips up to Ahipara.
Yeah.
Going up on a Friday night.
Well, there wasn't hardly any local surfers up in those days, was it? There might have been one or two, but I never really got to know them. Now tell me about you. You went to Aussie, what, just for a surf trip?
Yeah, 68.
68, yeah. But who'd you go with?
Went by myself, looking for guys who had just gone ahead of me.
Yep.
Bill Player, Ian Bucks, Ben Harding. Caught up with all them.
You did catch up with them?
Yeah, caught up with them. Then teamed up with a couple of guys from Napier.
Yeah.
Morris McCutcheon, Cutch and Murray Ellison. And they...
So you all just hung out together?
Yeah, we just hung out together at Kura. We lived at Kura, had a great time.
Yeah.
And I also caught up with Drew Campy and Craig Rice, and we eventually moved into the flat together.
So how did you survive? Did you get jobs over there? Or what,
I've managed to get a job for working labouring for an engineering firm at Currumbin.
Yeah.
That was the first job I had, and then the second one was Laurie Honnessy gave me a job sanding boards, and that was when I first got into the industry. From then went on to do the glassing and what have you. And
then you told me earlier that you came back to New Zealand and what you made boards in Whangarei for quite a while, a little while?
Yeah, for a little while, about 3 or 4 months, and I could see the possibility of being a good place for a shop. So I went back to Australia for the winter and then came back here with Jeff Darby, and Jeff and I set up a shop in town. But in the year that we'd been away, Super Session had got a real good strong foothold in the area, and they were hard to beat.
Yeah. So what we're talking, 1970? No,
yeah, 71. 71. Yeah, 71. And Jeff was starting to make himself as a name as a shaper and a surfer in Australia, and little old Whangarei really wasn't up to his standard, too small. So he bailed at the end of the first summer and went back, and I tidied the place up and wound the business up and went back myself a couple of months after that.
So what were your surfboard, what did you have on the surfboard?
It was a red and black sticker that just came out like that, and then concave on the end, and it had Tony Kivell.
Yeah.
Right, written on. That's
So if someone sees one of those boards in their garage, we'd like to get hold of it for
love
you.
to get hold of one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Favourite break at the moment? When I'm pretty sure you're still surfing when you can.
Yep.
Where do you go for a surf?
Alexandra Heads.
Yeah.
On the Sunshine Coast. There's a viewing platform there above a really nice right-hand break. It's a very strong club.
Yeah.
And we meet on the viewing platform any morning. I'm not committed to work. At about 5:30, it's daylight, and if the surf's no good, we solve the world's problems and have a few coffees. But if there's a wave, then we hit the water fairly early.
Yeah. What do you I've tried to answer this to her. There's something about surfing. You can be struggling with work and you know, all sorts of problems. You get out surfing and that's all gone, isn't it? It's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain. It's part of that same thing that only a surfer knows the feeling.
Yeah.
Of being picked up by a force of nature and thrust forward.
Just the joy of it, isn't it?
Yeah, the joy of it. I go out, paddle out, even if it's small. I still paddle out, particularly in the early morning, and I'll sit out there and reflect on my kids, my family, and where I am at life, and I'm the king of the world.
Yeah. I was out Sandy Bay Saturday and Sunday morning, and it was only lucky to be a 1 metre surf, but the water was warm and it was a little sort of, it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Just nothing like it. So what sort of board have you got, and what's the name of your board you've got at the moment?
I've got 3.
Yeah.
A 9-foot one, and it doesn't actually have a label on it. It was made in China.
Yeah. So it's super light?
Very light.
Yeah.
Concave in nose, a couple of little concaves down between the
and it
two
suits
things.
you? Yeah.
Suits me, it's good and I enjoy it. Another one at 9'1", which is a beach beat with a local Sunshine Coast manufacturer, and then I've got 8'3", which is a beach beat as well.
Because you were really right into quite short boards there
for a while.
Quite a while. Yeah. But
like
most of it, as you get older.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes life easier the longer the board is.
Yeah. Funniest thing about surfing, you've got a funny story or something stupid happened on the way surfing, or?
I can recall coming back from Waipu one afternoon when the windscreen was really dusty and the sun was in our eyes, struggling to see coming around a particular corner, when all of a sudden 3 eggs splattered across the middle of the windscreen and visibility was totally nil. Completely nil.
Have you done it? Do you know who done it? Or
yeah. By the time I pulled up, trying to see where I was going, leaning out the side of had no idea what was in front of me. The particular other club members
ambushed you?
Yeah. Can we name them?
Yeah, sure. Who was it?
Thanks, Ken Berry.
Ken Berry. Oh, yeah. I think him and the Blomfield boys used to have a few wars, didn't they?
They did, yeah. So, by the time we got out and scraped all the egg off the windscreen, they were long gone.
So in the early 60s, what sort of music were you listening to? Like when your first car or your second car?
Bob Dylan was an influence.
Yeah. So did you have a radio in that first car?
Yeah, we did.
You did?
Yeah. A radio.
Yeah. And didn't have tapes, because tapes probably weren't invented, so just a radio.
Just an AM radio.
Yeah. So you got, 5 miles out of town and you couldn't pick anything up just about?
About like that, yeah.
These guys nowadays have got it easy, haven't they?
Haven't they? Really sweet. I have a strong visual recollection of coming back from Malacca one day, and I don't know why this moment should stay with me. It was just the Hollies were on the radio, and my girlfriend was next to me, and our friends were in the back, and it's just whenever I hear that song, I can see that particular piece of road we were driving on.
Yeah, just I've got a few of those.
Just the trigger that recalls the memory.
So you entered a few of those Tahi contests?
Yep.
You were a damn good surfer. You must have done pretty well.
No, not really. Not at that stage.
Yeah.
I got a couple of seconds and thirds and heats. And
so you entered a contest in Australia a year or two ago, did you?
Yeah.
An age group one?
Yeah, a couple.
And did quite reasonable in those?
Gets through the first round.
Yeah. That's doing well, eh?
Yeah, that's about it.
It's very much like competition surfing it's a lot of luck in getting the right wave. It's a lot of luck. It really is. Yeah, I don't really particularly enjoy it, though I still go in it just to go in. So, any of your children surf, Tony?
Yeah, my son does.
He does surf, yeah?
Yeah, he does surf. Actually, he's just come back from Tabaroa.
Yeah.
And he left this morning for Hawaii, the lucky bugger.
Yeah.
Although the trip to Hawaii is his honeymoon.
That's his honeymoon.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll get on his surfboard over there, bound to a higher one or something?
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Neat. I don't know what else to ask you. I think we've covered most of the things.
Oh, that's good.
Have you surfed overseas yourself at all?
Been to Bali.
Bali, yeah. You enjoyed that? You had
Yeah,
good
loved
waves?
it. Would love to go back. Had great waves.
Whereabouts? Just at the main?
At the airport, and also just on the high tide, a beach break out in front of where we were staying. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky.
Was it crowded, or did you hire a board? Or?
No, I took my board over with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It wasn't too crowded.
Yeah.
Just a few people there, but it was never got hassled by either the locals or the visitors.
Yeah.
Was that okay?
Even in the 80s, I remember you making surfboards, just your own ones. You used to make around, They went all right, didn't they?
Yeah. Had a surf, borrowed a board and had a surf in France, at Biarritz.
How long ago was that?
That was a long time ago. So I was travelling around Europe, hitching most of the time.
Well, you went by yourself. Did you go by yourself, or did you
Caught up with Clive Smart and some friends in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the surf like in France?
Bloody cold.
Was it?
Yeah, it was freezing. There was a current that came up, up the coast, Portugal, Spain, whatever.
Yeah.
And we went to the beach and get out of the car, and there was all these topless ladies around and kids and crowds everywhere, charged into the water. Oh, I turned around and charged out again. It was freezing.
So the sun was really hot, but the water was freezing.
Yeah, very cold.
Yeah. Would that be because of the currents going up the channel or something?
Yeah. Well, coming down from the Arctic, I suppose.
It's funny, this is, early March, and the water around Whangarei and that is just warmer than it was at Christmas. It's really beautiful. I don't know why it is. I guess it's just the currents, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, well, we'll let that, you want to, anything else you can think of? Or?
No.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I don't know if you've ever been for a surf at Currumbinelli, but you can jump off the rock straight out, or you can use this little channel, this little gutter that comes in on the left-hand side. It gives you a bit of protection. You wait till the appropriate moment, leap in, and try and get across about 60 or 80 feet of impact zone with rocks behind you and guys taking off in front of you. Anyway, I waited until I thought there was a lull and jumped in and started paddling. Got about halfway across the impact zone and I thought, I'm not making any progress. There's something funny here. Turned round and looked behind, and here was this Chinese fisherman, rod in hand, reeling in this monstrous fish he thought he caught. He'd actually got me around the leg rope. And there was no way I could make any progress against it. I was caught right in the middle of the impact zone. Fortunately, my salvation lay in a couple of young Palm Beach grommets who pointed out to the guy what was happening, and he let me go. But I'm sure Confucius would have a saying that was appropriate, but I can't think of it at the moment. It wasn't a good moment for Chinese-Kiwi relations anyway. Another story, Craig Rice and Drew Kempe had landed in Sydney, and I met them there, and they bought a car, bought a little Holden station wagon, and we set off for Greenmount. And at that time, 68 it was, Greenmount was the place to be. That was where everyone in New Zealand had seen the magazines and seen the films, and we wanted to head for Greenmount, so we drove up New South Wales coast, a couple of stops on the way. Finally got across the border and into Greenmount parking lot. We'd been in Queensland about a minute, and this guy comes up and says, "Oh, can I borrow your wax?" And Drew gives him his wax, and then I could hear Drew mumbling something, and I could see he was doing some signals, and he's going, Peter Druin, Peter Druin's borrowed my wax." And we thought that was just fantastic. We'd arrived all the way from New Zealand, and here we were amongst the surfing stars. It was an interesting coincidence that it should have been Peter Druin we met, because a few years later I was to work with him in a surf factory on the coast. But his life has changed quite considerably. He's now had a change of gender, and he's known as Westerly Windara, I think he calls himself, and he's or herself, and he or she's a lawyer practicing in Tweed Heads. It was far different from the Peter Druin that I knew, that would come into the factory wanting his board glassed or sanded so he could compete in some contest the following day. Pete was a terrible shaper. His boards were full of bumps and hollows, but it didn't matter. You could give him a power pole and he'd still paddle out and tear the place apart.